Elliot, where are the real borderline on the fence NFL draft decisions? Who are
That
those guys?
is, yeah. So it's Jay Higgins, Cooper DeJean, Sebastian Castro. Those are the ones that come to mind right away. But then, of course, they may not come to mind now because they've been injured for so long. But then you look at Eric All, you look at Luke Lachey. Eric, I believe, has a year of eligibility due to COVID. And then Luke Lachey was a junior this year. Those guys are going to be the big ones. And I feel like I'm missing one. We just listed them out today. Let me go ahead and look at this list that we've got. Jay Higgins, Sebastian Castro, Eric All, Cooper, Jamari Harris, and Quinn Schulte. Those are the big ones. Now, I look at this list, and I think of all the guys that would be more inclined to come back, I think Quinn Schulte is almost a guarantee. Then Jamari Harris is a guy that probably should come back, but was very, very good just a couple years ago before getting hurt. And then Luke Lachey, has he done enough to get picked up by an NFL team? I think so, but it is going to be a mid-round pick. Next year, he comes back, he stays healthy, he works his way. I mean, even with that tight end U reputation just attached to him, that'll help him, ease his way up in the draft. Eric All has been in college for what it feels like a long time. I don't have a gauge of what he's going to do. I really don't. I'd probably be surprised. Honestly, I don't think there's a scenario where he comes out of this and I'm not surprised by what he does, whether he goes to the NFL, whether he stays. Jay Higgins, Sebastian Castro, Cooper DeJean. I think those are scenarios where if you're Kirk Ferentz, you gotta be the guy that you want. If I'm in a situation like that with Kirk Ferentz as a guy that I trust, I want him to tell me the truth. And for me, the truth with those three is you need to go to the NFL right now because your stock's not going to get any higher.
Elliot, I asked you to put odds on the quarterback situation and whether they would bring in a transfer. I was going to follow that up once I saw a comment from Corey in the chat to put odds on whether Corey was going to crash this conversation because I knew that it was about 9-1 in favor. I knew that one of us would say something that was going to have to be responded to.
No, I'm not trying to call him, but I just wanted to clarify my comment.
You're always welcome.
My comment in the chat regarding Nick Jackson. Elliot, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I was told here a couple days ago that there is a chance that Nick Jackson does come back because of the situation with the Virginia season that was cut short due to the shooting. And there are other players on that team that were part of his class that have already announced they're coming back with hopes that the NCAA will approve a waiver. So seniors that were on that team basically got a free waiver for an extra year, but the NCAA did not hand down a decision on anybody, on any underclassmen. And so we had to talk to Brad Heinrichs here a couple of days ago on my show, and that's what Brad expressed. So I don't take that for law, but it sounds like they got a shot at bringing both linebackers back.
And just to clarify this, and I have total sympathy for that situation. It's a horrific situation. But eligibility for missing 2 games out of 12 that they would be granted an extra year. They didn't have a chance of going to a bowl game. They were 3-7.
What year was that, Mark?
22.
Okay. Yeah, it was 22. I'm just telling you what they did for the seniors that were on that team. They did that for the seniors that were on that team. And apparently some of Nick Jackson's peers have announced they're returning. I don't know if that's to Virginia or if that's somewhere else. But I just heard that. I just wanted to clarify why I wasn't trying to be sarcastic with that comment. It sounds like that, and that was news to me too. When Brad mentioned that, and you guys are talking about the portal, it doesn't sound like they're going to have many scholarships, if any, to hand out if they can get as many guys back as they're hoping to.
Right. So in that scenario, like Corey, do you see them using? I'm sorry, we're getting you in on here. Do you see them using a 5th scholarship for quarterback?
No, I don't.
Right. That's what I said too.
No, I don't think so. You got to keep in mind they're not losing anybody, Mark. They're not losing any quarterbacks. So unless Deacon Hill enters the portal in January, they're not losing anybody. So they're not going to go.
Did you hear my argument for going after a transfer portal quarterback?
But I mean, you can't unless they push someone out. They're not just going to stockpile quarterbacks until they find one they like. They have one they like in Cade, and frankly, I think Marco Lainez, he surpassed Joe Labus during the season. All right, that is fact. So I would hope that means that he's by the time he gets through spring practice next spring and gets through another fall camp that he would be ready. And I would hope that he'd be ahead of Deacon Hill by next fall, frankly. Now, part of that's going to, I think, come down to who the next quarterback is, or excuse me, who the next OC is, quarterback's coach. But no, they're not bringing anybody else in. I would be shocked if they did that.
All right. I wanted to hit you guys up with 2 quick items, and we've got Marty Leap from Rivals, Penn State Rivals, standing by as well. And I'm glad, Corey, you jumped on because I can get both of your gauges on the atmosphere in the room or the vibe in the stadium from a Hawkeye side. In both of you soaking up this game, you're covering this game, but you're soaking up as supporters of the team this game that was just the epitome of everything we predicted it would be. Maybe not to the exact score, but it was kind of not the ultimate worst case scenario, but a pretty bad worst case scenario of what the offense was going to not do and what the defense was going to be able to do, but kind of this slow grind death to the way it concluded 26-0.
Well, as far as the entire year is concerned, not just this game, but the entire year is concerned, to me, this year played out almost exactly how I anticipated it from a balance standpoint or lack thereof. I think maybe a little bit more extreme on each side. I think I expected the defense to take more of a hit, losing Campbell and losing Seth Benson and Riley Moss and those guys. And obviously, people like Nick Jackson and Jay Higgins and, just all the way around. Cooper was that much better when he was healthy this year. So, I think the defense was every bit as good as it was last year, which I didn't necessarily expect. And then the offense was no better, frankly. I mean, they had a couple of games here or there where they ran the ball better. And part of that was injuries, absolutely. Elliot mentioned Eric All, and of course, Cade McNamara. So they got to 10 wins. And then as far as the Michigan game is concerned, I mean, Elliot, did you no, there wasn't really much in that game that surprised me other than let's see, what surprised me?
An 87-yard punt return by Michigan.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have your best gunner in Cooper DeJean there. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't shock me,
Sure.
It's unfortunate. I would have liked to have seen what the game was like had that not happened. But this to me, it was nothing like the Minnesota game. I heard people equating, well, we got killed out of 2 games from the officials. You lost 26-0. No, I'm not. I don't care about, I understand the bad call on the no roughing. That was absolutely should have been a roughing the passer call on whoever that was that slammed Deacon down to the ground. By the way, whoever that guy is ought to be trying out for WWE because Deacon's a big boy, and he picked that big boy up and slammed him on his back.
And then went like this.
Yeah, I know. I love it when guys do
Come
that,
on.
Right? Yeah. So, and then the fumble was obviously not the best, but it played out the way I expected. Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the glaring thing after that game was that they didn't open up the offense at all. An iota. Yeah. Brian Ferentz's last Big Ten game, the Big Ten championship, you have a chance to upset. Yeah. What?
I'll tell you,
nothing.
That's called. It was that's disgraceful, is what it was.
It's almost more. I lost my train of thought, but it's embarrassing.
Here it is.
I just don't get it.
It's more of an indication to me, Elliot, that not that anybody was holding anybody back for the last few years. It's that we really don't know we don't know how to open it up. Like, I think that's the bottom line, because I think some people have and even I did to an extent, that hey, it's his last game. Even Kirk's going to allow Brian to open things up now, and if Brian's been holding anything back, he's not going to hold anything back in this game. But you're right; they came out there, did the exact same thing they've done for the last 3 years. I don't think they have anything to open. I really don't. I don't think they have any idea as it relates to wrinkles and what it means to open up an offense or get innovative offensively. They're going to need a play caller that can actually understand the passing game, because they don't have one right now.
And that has Kirk's trust to, install some of those wrinkles.